From the Dallas On Air studios of beautiful Dallas, Texas, this is Fulfillment here on DallasOnAir.com. And now here's your hosts, Vegabomber and the Film Samurai.
What's up, what's up, what's up? Well, hey, gang. Guess who I have back from California? It's the Film Samurai himself, Carlos.
Come on. I'm back. Got a suntan and everything, can't you tell?
And you got a cool t-shirt. I love that. I don't know if you guys can see that from where you're sitting, but...
The director's cuts,
yeah.
Nice.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Love it.
I love it. Mine, just a generic $8 t-shirt from Walmart. But it has all my favorite Marvel superheroes on it. So we got Marvel represented here today and DC represented today. Well, Carlos, guess what, man? As we were planning for this show, a certain video happened to drop. Actually, a teaser trailer for a movie everybody's going to be talking about in December. Right. And it turns out that episode 9... Our teaser trailer was
December. They're talking about it now.
Nonstop.
They're screaming.
Can you believe that? So here we go. Like Last Jedi came out. A lot of people weren't pleased with it. I was one of those people. I think too. You were as well. And so now the thought was, can J.J. Abrams bring this back out of the ditch? So I guess maybe what might help us with that is let's just take a look at this trailer. So if you haven't seen the trailer yet, well, on the Fulfillment Show, you get a chance to see it here first if you hadn't seen it already. So talk Lord of the Sith. Do your thing.
Yes, sir.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
That Williams score.
Oh,
yes. It makes me...
There is so much to cut down on that. Please, by all means.
Oh, yes. Well, it reminded me of the Vincent, was it in Thriller, that laugh that you get right before
Vincent
Thriller?
Price.
Vincent Price, yeah. But no.
You know what the best thing was about that?
What's that?
This premiered at Star Wars Celebration earlier this week in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah. As soon as the trailer finished rolling and you hear that laugh up in the darkness, Ian McDiarmid appears on stage, and that familiar voice goes, Roll it again.
I bet those people went nuts.
Oh, my gosh. So what do you think? Does this kind of redeem some of it for you, Carlos? What do you think about this trailer?
It can't redeem until I actually see the film, right?
I agree.
But
I agree.
There's signs there that it could be really good.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. I've got a little sliver of hope.
Mm-hmm.
But after that last one, man, I was just so not interested in or caring anymore. But this gives me a little, it might actually be entertaining, engaging. Maybe they'll close it. I understand that JJ went to George Lucas actually and consulted with him about what he would do, maybe see how it would close this saga. And See what happens. And I think that's probably why you're getting Palpatine back.
Wow. Wow. Well, it seems like this is what they should have did in the first place. And Rian Johnson, this is what he should have done in the first place. I mean,
it's like, don't get me going. Man.
Don't get you going. Yeah, I know it's like because we got a whole show, but I get that though. But I'll just say this. For me, I would just say having Lando Calrissian in it is probably enough to make me go see this film because I've always loved the character of Lando Calrissian. I don't understand why out of all the characters he didn't show up in The Force Awakens. It didn't make sense. Yeah. He should have been there. So I'm curious now as to bringing them in now in the very third of the sequel.
How much of a part of it is he actually be?
Absolutely. And I love Chewbacca, so those two together I would love to see again since I can't see the original four together in a cockpit again flying in a ship far, far away. But maybe. But
so he was in the Falcon, right?
Yes, he was in the Falcon flying it.
Right.
And so
that's going to be awesome.
I think that's going to be awesome. So I'm just going to say it this way. I still hate The Last Jedi. This doesn't change anything. I hate the politics in it. I hate everything that they went with the direction. But if I'm going to see this movie, I'm still debating it. It will be because Lando's in it, and we can't ever see Leia again, and we can't ever see Han Solo again.
Well, that's not true because footage that was taken from Last Jedi and film for this is Leia. Mm-hmm. She's in the trailer, so you do get to see her one last time.
Well, I meant, I'm sorry, let me correct that. Carrie Fisher. We're going to see film of something that was filmed of her before that they're going to cut in. What I heard was that they're using footage from even Force Awakens that they didn't use.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they're going to cut that in to try to make it look more like she's there instead of having a body double come in and try to do all that. So those are the kind of things you do, I guess, when you have to make choices. So
well, it was so much supposed to be her film, too.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be like Luke was supposed to be Last Jedi. Han was supposed to be Force Awakens, and of course, this is going to be the end of it. This is supposed to be her film.
Which I think is interesting, though, because, and we'll get into it, but to me, out of the three, the most important one out of those three is Luke Skywalker because he's the Jedi. You can get a general anywhere. Anybody can be raised up to the ranks to get general. So it seems to me that if you want to carry on the arc, and the arc is really about Luke, it's a curious choice that you would make Leia be the last one out instead of Luke. It seems like Leia and Han make sense to go out first because they don't affect the whole universe as much as Luke does. Because if Luke is the last Jedi, well, whoever he trains or doesn't train changes what's going to happen if the Force is the one that's going to always balance things. Right? So it's kind of weird, but we'll roll with it.
I like to speculate because it's the title is The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
finally
so
announced.
many ways you can interpret that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but see, The Rise of Skywalker, that's kind of silly to say The Last Jedi, then The Rise of Skywalker right after it. It's like, so is he dead, not dead? If he's not dead, if nothing ever changes, then what was the point of all these people dying? If these people can come back, why didn't other people come back? For instance, Anakin as a Force ghost. Why is he not back?
It describes to my theory.
Or Rey's.
And where was he? Where was he in Ben Kenobi and Last Jedi? Why was Yoda the only Force ghost that came back? At the end of Return of the Jedi, both Anakin and Yoda and Ben Kenobi were there at the end of Return of the Jedi. That's proven they could be. So it just adds more questions as to Rian Johnson, not the fault of Star Wars itself, but if you were going to do that, why didn't you show what Ben Kenobi was? I mean, wouldn't he care that Luke's going to an island to die? I didn't come to this island to be found. I came here to die. You don't think Ben Kenobi would want to talk him out of that? His prize people after, So anyway, it just is weird stuff that we could totally get into. And we will have a show, probably all on Star Wars as we get closer to that. So hang in there, fans. We will definitely talk about that. So before we do that, let's just go ahead and jump into some of our segments. Today, as you guys know, every time we do this, we always talk about the picks of the week, which these are the new movies hitting the theaters that you could possibly go see. We'll take a quick look at them and then tell you which ones we think are the ones to go see, perhaps out of all of those. So thank you for my wiki there. So, picks of the week. Let me give you the list first, Carlos, and then we'll start taking them down one by one, saying what we know about it and see what we think. So
sounds good.
That works. Then let's do it. Segment 1, picks of the week. Hellboy will be out this week, and there's already people talking about that. That's all the pre-screening. The Curse of La Llorona. It's a horror film, so we got a
La Llorona.
Yes.
You got to say it in Spanish.
Say it again for me.
La Llorona.
La Llorona.
It's like a Y. So
there we go.
Llorona.
See, my Corona.
Double L is a Y in Spanish. Llorona.
I love it. See what you can learn. See, we learn everything here, right? This is a very cultural show. The Best of Enemies. This is the only historical film that's coming out here. It's a true story as well, just like Green Book was. The Missing Link is our animated feature. That's stop motion. And then Little, a movie called Little, which is a comedy that's coming out all within the next week or two. So let's take a look at Hellboy. What do we know about Hellboy?
New director. Neil Marshall, the guy who made The Descent, Dog Soldiers. Great director. If you ever seen this movie called Byzantium, it's a vampire film. Byzantium. Oh my God, it's great.
That come out in the 2000s or was it 90s?
Yeah,
2000s.
Gemma Arterton is in it. Saoirse Ronan, she's good. Great film. If you ever seen it, it's pretty gory.
Yeah,
but it's a vampire myth tale, gothic. Vampires been around for hundreds of years. Now they're modern times. But this movie, Hellboy, I saw it, and I had a good time with it, actually. I know it got terrible reviews, but, of course, how are you going to review the new Hellboy when you got the old Guillermo del Toro Hellboy, this movie god for the Twitter geeks?
Yeah.
So they can't say anything good about the new Hellboy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some really didn't like it, but I thought it was fun. It was entertaining, had humor in it. It is gory. It's rated R. It's not like the PG-13 Del Toro films.
So it's not slapstickish, corny, Marvel humor type stuff?
No. David Harbour is now Hellboy.
From Stranger
Saw
Things.
the character. Ian McShane is now, his father.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's really a spoiler, but Lobster Johnson, which is Mike Mignola, one of his characters in the Hellboy universe, he's in it. Thomas Hayden Church. It's great. I want to see a Lobster Johnson movie.
Yeah.
I would love to see that because he plays it so good. He's like, you just want to see more of that, but he's only in it briefly. It's like a flashback. But, I had a good time with it. It's fun.
Hellboy, yeah. Well, that's definitely one that, like I said, I haven't seen it. But Hellboy is something that I'm thinking about because I figure that the CGI has to be phenomenal in this. Like if they follow up with it, is that true? Would you say the production value?
Some scenes, yes. Some scenes are kind of iffy. But there's a great scene, Baba Yaga scene.
Okay.
When you see it, you'll know.
Okay,
it's a great sequence.
Okay,
and that was a very well done sequence. You could tell they put a lot of time and energy. I heard there was some production problems with the director and the producers kind of fighting back and forth. So that may be why some of the people found it kind of, didn't care for it or it wasn't maybe Neil Marshall's full vision. That's what's happening in a lot of movies. And man, it's kind of distressing to see where directors are just not given free rein to do what they want. The producers got to get into it and make sure it's marketable and so forth.
Studio interference, you gotta love it. How many movies were ruined by studio interference?
Frustrating. Man.
And marketing wanting to sell more action figures. Well, Mila Jovovich is in this as well, and I tend to find her very interesting, if not more fun to look at. So all those Resident Evils that she did, and even the couple others that she did, so that might be enough to make me go see it. Perhaps maybe at the matinee if I'm not the full commitment, because the full commitment here at Fulfillment is when you're willing to go opening night and see it in the evening when it's the most expensive, and when you got so commitment, that's when you go to the matinee on Saturday or Sunday.
I was tempted to see it in this thing called D-Box where your chair will move around and vibrate and that's the action and stuff. But no, I didn't. I just saw it like you said, a matinee. And,
That just sounds annoying.
What's that? Oh, that D-Box. What movie? I saw.
The kid kicks the back of Hellboy's chair. The kid kicks the back of your chair. It's interactive. This movie's in feel around, right?
Well, I want people to just.
I saw Chappie in D-Box.
You saw Chappie? Oh,
speaking of Neil Blomkamp,
no.
It was fun. I mean, I was drunk, man. I had a few before.
Well, see, he clarified it. He was drunk, folks. Yeah. See,
so you didn't need D-Box. You just had bourbon.
Yeah. I was
Well, I just like the kind of, I guess, D-Box where the popcorn flows and it really is real popcorn, so I don't have to be cheap and go back down and get more popcorn. I can just have real popcorn come into me. If they could do that at this thing and refill my drink from my seat, now that would be worth it for me. Just refill my drink. Diet Coke, please. That's what it was.
Put the butter intravenously into your vein.
That's it. I don't want to have to move unless you shake my chair. All right, so Hellboy is one of the picks of the week. The other one, or the next on the list, is The Curse of La Llorona. Is it? Yeah. So this one is the director. The director is Michael Shaves, I believe. And it has Linda Cardellini, who was in the Green Book. She was the wife of Tony Lip, played by Viggo Mortensen. So there's at least one name I recognize. Raymond Cruz is another one, and then Patricia Vasquez is also in this film. So this is a curse. This is basically another take on another version, if you will, of The Conjuring in a way. So again, we got supernatural stuff going on that's inhabiting a place, and then the only thing that can save it is your faith in the Father. Can he help you with the right words to exorcise the demon and let it be gone, or not? Does it just kill everything?
Yeah, I've heard of La Llorona since I was a kid. It's kind of a Mexican mythology.
So what's
it's a woman that down by the river, and she's crying because her kids fell in the river and drowned, and she's still crying for them. So if you hear La Llorona, that's her,
That's her.
So yeah, it's gone back here. There's so many different takes on it, but it's basically that story of she lost her kids in a river, drowned. She's still crying for them to this day. She's a ghost,
Yeah, no, it's gotta have
just
that
to
story.
scare the kids. Don't go outside at night. You'll get La Llorona.
She'll get you.
Yeah, exactly.
She lost her kids.
The boogeyman, yeah.
The boogeyman,
basically.
that's right.
The Mexican version of the boogeyman.
The Mexican version of the boogeyman. You heard it here first. Wow, the film Samurai. The next film is Best of Enemies. This is a historical film, a civil rights activist film. Its director is Robin Bissell, so you might remember him as the producer of the Hunger Games. And I think there was a couple other films, but mostly he's a producer and an actor. So now he's in the director's chair to do this one. And it stars Tari P. Henson. We all know her from Empire. We remember her from Hidden Figures as well. And she's been in a lot of stuff lately. What women want, I think, where's the reversal of what men want.
Yeah. Hidden Figures? Did you mention that?
Yeah, she was in Hidden Figures. She was one of the 3 chicks that was smart enough to figure it out. Right? She was in Proud Mary. Yeah, she's doing her thing. Small screen, big screen, doesn't matter. Tari P is just blowing up. And you also have Sam Rockwell in it as well. And so basically,
replaying his role from 3 Billboards. Basically, he's a racist Klansman.
I guess something about him just screams racist, so they just cast him for that role. But this is set in 71. So this is all centered around the desegregation of the schools. So she plays, Tari P plays Ann Atwater, who goes up against C.J. Wells, who was the known head of the KKK at the time, played by Sam Rockwell. And it was all about that whole time of integrating the schools and all that sort of thing. And so evidently the story is that she's such a powerhouse. She's kind of like a Rosa Parks. Like, she was just not going to take no. She was not going to be bullied, because she just wanted her kids to be able to just go to school and get an education. Right. So I love kind of historical flicks, especially civil rights type films. I think, to me, they're the better superhero films because they really happened. Right. So there's my connection from superhero films to this. This is how I kind of put that together. So I think that's probably pretty awesome. The Missing Link. This is a stop motion animated film that's coming out starring Hugh Jackman. The director is Chris Butler. And you also have David Williams in it, and somebody else, Stephen Fry. I almost forgot about him, who I saw in a debate recently.
Zoe Saldana is in it.
Yes,
and Zach Galifianakis as the Bigfoot Link character.
Yes, and Zach is in it as well. So The Missing Link, the story synopsis. What do you know about it, Carlos? Not a whole lot.
Do they find the missing link between Cro-Magnon man and human?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a trailer or anything.
We talked about this a little bit on Figments, the Unexplained Mysteries podcast here in DallasOnAir.com. That's Eddie Medina's show. It's basically
Merry Christmas, Eddie.
Bigfoot hunter finds a Bigfoot. Bigfoot is lonely, wants to find his family, so they transport him up north to go find Yetis.
Oh, cool.
That's it. So it's an exploration type movie where one explorer is better off with several explorers, because family is always the key to these things. But yes, so there we go. That's the missing link. And then finally, to round out our picks, and we'll give you our pick here in a second, is a movie called Little. So think about Reverse Big. So in Big with Tom Hanks, it's about a kid wanting to be an adult, getting big. This one is about an adult who takes herself too seriously, and they shrink her down and show her as a kid and what she was like as a kid, instead of the mean, hardcore boss, hard-charging, stuff your face, come on, right?
And so she now still is as a kid, but can't do anything about it.
Yes.
She's not an adult.
Yes, and nobody's going to listen to her. So this is a film by Tina Gordon. She's the director there. And then, of course, the standout actors that you probably will know is Regina Hall. Everybody remembers her as Craig's sister. Twister and Friday. What up, Craig? What you gonna do now, Craig? Right? And then Issa Rae, who is done that Awkward show on HBO. And she started out with an internet short that I used to watch back in the day. I was looking for something that was called Awkward Black Girl.
Yeah, you told me about
and it had
that.
3 or 4 seasons. And that stuff was hilarious.
It's funny. Yep.
It was hilarious. But anyways, Zach, you had something? What were you thinking?
Yeah,
I could see your brain percolating over there.
turn this on. Yeah, they actually had an interesting interview with the kid who plays the little girl, the girl who from Blackish.
Marcia Martin?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, she's now like her own film mogul. Like she's producing films. Wow. She's dropping stuff. Like this was a big one for her.
Wow.
And like she's like what 14?
Yeah.
15?
Jesus.
Yeah.
And she's already making films.
Well, you know, if you can get on YouTube and start a channel and get a lot of followers, that gives you the money to then go hire people. And
You gotta have talent.
But yeah, it's an interesting interview with her on the Daily Show. If you want to go hunt that up.
Yeah. No, I see how this is possible because I mean, and some of these kids they're just driven, and they start. Forget the lemonade stand. For us, it was like the lemonade stand. We get out there and make a nickel trying to sell lemonade on the corner, right? These kids just get on. Today they just get on social media and they just do a makeup tutorial that gets 1 million views. And next thing you know, they're a sensation overnight. So. Right. There we were, once again, cheated without the internet as we were growing up. Lemonade. But I can make a hell of a lemonade, though. I can tell you that much. So here are the movies. We're going to tell you what our pick is. So the choice then this week is between Hellboy, Curse of La Llorona, right? Best of Enemies, Missing Link, and Little. What do you think? What would be your pick out of those movies, Carlos?
Well, I already saw Hellboy, so I'll pick Missing Link. I'm going to go see that.
Missing Link.
Sounds good. I love stop motion animation. I always have since I was a kid, so I'll dig it. I love Leica stuff. Kubo and the Two Strings. Great film. I love that.
Okay. So there's a vote for Missing Link. What about you, Zach? Which one of these is a movie?
If I were going to go see any of them in the theater, which I'm not going to, I would probably say Hellboy.
Hellboy. Yeah. Okay. And so
that's a $1 matinee.
That's $1.
That's $1. That's the $1.
And even then, you're going to bring a coupon, right? So there we go.
No, I'll bring them all popcorn, dude.
bring the empty containers.
Bring them own chow mein. I'm just saying.
That's how you see a lot of movies right there. Bring your own ramen noodles. Just get water.
There you
hot
go.
Water from them, and that's it. Y'all have any hot water? Just hot water? How much is it for hot water?
Can I have a hot tea, but leave the tea out? And just pour it in there.
And I will say, out of these, my pick would probably not. Let's see. I probably would go see Best of Enemies because it's usually films like this that usually have the best performances from the actors. Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to embody somebody who really actually lived, you've got something you can study, and so we can compare you and see if you've done a good enough job. But I would say maybe my secondary pick would probably be Missing Link. But I'm going to go with Best of Enemies. So there you have it, folks. You can go with Hellboy. You can go with Best of Enemies or Missing Link, and we will tell you that you'll probably have a good time at the theater if you like that sort of thing. All right. We're doing it, folks. So we're going to get down to segment 2 now, and it's movies that we've just seen. And as always, I'm going to defer to Carlos first because if y'all remember, wiki, the last time we talked to Carlos, he hadn't seen Us, but now he has. And since this movie sparks a lot of conversation, Carlos, what did you think of Us?
Us. I did.
Or them.
Them.
Or no, that's Us. So go ahead.
Us. Jordan Peele, of course. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Get Out.
Okay.
The thing with Us, and it had some interesting visuals, creepy, things. It was an interesting idea, but I have kind of seen this type of thing before. Mm-hmm. That made me predict what the reveal was way ahead of time. I mean,
gotcha.
Even from the beginning, even the crawl at the beginning that mentions about the tunnels underneath. Mm-hmm. So I kind of figured out right away. But it was interesting watching that journey, the film going from this family of 4 going out to this vacation home and then from there, and it picks up pretty quickly. It doesn't waste any time, going. I like the whole sequences at the carnival and her going into that creepy haunted house with the mirrors and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, it had some really, really interesting visuals. I don't know who the cinematographer was, but shot very well. The music was good. I like some of the and I loved Jordan Peele's homages or references to other films, especially like The Shining, when the kill the two girls, and the way they're laying out is exactly like that hallway scene of the twins, the way they're laid out in the hallway dead. So I loved how all his little, so, but sometimes that can get a little much, It's like it's unnecessary. You don't need it. I think he's just showing, I love old horror movies. This is how much I love them. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. A lot of Jaws references and things like that. Kids wearing Jaws t-shirt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fine. I kind of like the time period, where they kind of remember that Hands Across America? I remember that. Where they were trying to get everybody to line up hand by hand all the way across America. It's like, how ridiculous of an idea was that? Were they able to pull it off? I mean, I think it was kind of broken up in parts. It was impossible to actually really do it. But it was kind of a neat twist of how he brought it back around kind of to that, and how there's always clues in his films of what's coming, just a little imagery.
Yeah, it seems to be ushering in a different kind of how you watch movies now. Before, you watched a movie because you just wanted to be entertained. Now you watch movies because you're looking specifically for Easter eggs, callbacks to other movies, and maybe a plot point that was picked up from another movie. And did you see that? Did you get it? Did you get that he was doing this?
If you got that, if you saw that movie, then you'll get this.
And if you saw Get Out, that was the pair of slippers that the woman wore in Get Out. Did you notice they were in this one too? And it's like all about watching all these ancillary things in the movie rather than just saying, let's just follow the story.
It takes me out of the movie sometimes. You see it and you go, oh, okay. So I'm watching a movie. Instead of just being engaged with the movie.
Well, it's the trick to get you back into the theater to see it again.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't catch everything, and I go online and you check all I missed that scene.
Yeah, and so what you got is, remember, this was crazy because remember back in school we didn't like the kid that was the know-it-all. The kid was like, "Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you catch that? Did you?" We didn't, but now that's like,
we still don't like him. We just give him an internet show.
Hi. Well, what we do now is we celebrate him because we go to his channel, 18 Things You Didn't Catch, and Us, right? And these titles are so condescending, right? Oh, so you think you know Jordan Peele? Oh, you think you know superhero books? Oh, you think you know? Well, here's 38 things that you didn't catch. I'm like, what the hell, man? I just paid $15 to watch a movie. What's wrong, man? Am I stupid? Am I dumb?
I feel like I wasted my money.
Should I not go see a movie again? If I didn't understand why this connects to a movie that was written by a guy 13 years ago about another movie when he was copying another guy who did a movie 25 years before that from a screenplay that was written by a guy I never knew. No, I don't know it.
Hashtag George Lucas.
Right? Whoops. So yes. Well, with us, I'm the same way. I noticed that there's more talk about this film after the film because everybody's all doing that. They're going, "Did you catch this scene? That this is this is analogous to the slave trade. Did you catch this? This is analogous to this and this." And it's like, anybody see the performances of the actors? Did anybody remember?
Oh my God,
what
Lupita,
the story?
What a performance! Jesus.
Yeah,
if any horror movie actress deserves a at least Academy Award nomination, geez, she did a great job. Of course, and nowadays, outrage culture. There was a controversy because she took her performance from a mental condition. The way she spoke it as the altar. So it's like, why do they have to make a mountain out of a molehill out of every little thing these days? Just she was doing her job. She's being an actress. She's doing an interesting performance. Something like, you're just watching her amazed at this. What she's doing with her face, with her voice, with her eyes. Just her eyes.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
She's the standout because each actor here has to play also their doppelganger. So everybody in this film not only has to play the one character correct, the main character, but they also have to play their doppelganger like them, but not too much like them, because then you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So that right there is a challenge, I would imagine, for any actor, and Lupita's the standout there for sure.
Especially in the same scene when facing off.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So you can see why she won an Academy Award
yes,
before.
Absolutely.
So she's definitely worth it. There's a movie that we that I saw, and I'm going to talk about it just briefly because it actually is going to show up in another segment today. And I did go see Pet Sematary and Shazam. We'll talk about Shazam here in a second. Mm-hmm. And so Pet Sematary, I had to see it because I am a Stephen King fan. I also loved the adaptation of It when it came out last year or the year before. And I thought, well, if they did a good job with that, maybe perhaps they'll do the same thing here. I would sadly say, while this film improves upon the 1989 version, which has such stilted acting and obviously the effects aren't as good, it was better there, but you almost still have to ask, at least I asked when I walked out, why? Like, it didn't further the cause of Pet Sematary and Stephen King's greatness, I don't think. I think it just blends in, just falls in line with all the other stuff. Can't say it's bad because it's better, but you hope for more things, especially after the way it was done. That was done so well. Yep. But I can say Pet Sematary wasn't the case, and you saw that as well. Mm-hmm. Kind of your overall.
Generally my reaction, It was unnecessary remake. Didn't really do anything unique with the story. I mean, I saw the trailer and I thought, they're doing something kind of different, cool. Mm-hmm. Then I watch it, it's like, They changed some things up.
They did,
obviously, but nothing really to say. Oh yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna watch it again or buy it when it comes out on DVD or something.
Mm-hmm. Nah. So just like that, I'm just going to say, Shazam! Yep, that's what we're going to talk about now. Shazam. So director David Sandberg, actors Zachary Levi and Mark Strong, and then a bunch of child actors that I don't know all their names right now, but I wanted to basically focus on those two guys because one's the hero, one's the bad guy, and notably pretty good. So Shazam, what did you think?
Shazam, I enjoyed it. I was entertained by it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's aimed at teenagers or young audience, but some adults will like it too. I had a good time watching it, but I found some of it kind of off-putting. Really, it was really dark for a family movie.
Yeah, especially that first 8 minutes.
Yeah, that the father bullying the kid, and there's a lot of bullying in the movie. Mm-hmm. So if you're a kid that was a kid watching it and you were bullied, you're going to get triggered a lot. Mm-hmm. The villain, Mark Strong, he's a good villain for once. It's rare when you have a comic book villain that's really a bad dude.
I loved him in Kick-Ass. I thought he was awesome.
Almost kind of like that character.
Yeah.
Where he comes in that boardroom scene and just basically annihilates. I was like, that was shocking too. It's like, whoa, this is a PG-13 movie. Throws a guy out a window, and the demon imagery and stuff. I mean, some people say, kids, they're fine, they're pliable, they don't get really disturbed by movies like this, but some kids do, But I watch a lot of weird shit when I was a kid. I turned out okay, so it's not gonna kill anybody. It's not gonna really harm or crack anybody's brain, but that's okay. But again, I'm not buying this movie. I'm never going to watch it again. I won't think about it.
Yeah.
I won't, bring it up in a conversation.
Yeah.
It's just average.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the same way. To me, this was like a lot like Spider-Man Homecoming. You could tell that was, and I know I felt old because I was like, man, this is not my Peter Parker right here. And so all the gadgets and everything he had, in Spider-Man Homecoming, I felt the same way here. I felt like, okay, if I was a teenager, younger, I probably would thoroughly enjoy this, probably laughing at every line in the movie because, you're just glad to be out when you're a teenager. But in terms of all the superhero films that are out there, you figure we have 22 Marvel films, an unlimited number of DC films, Fox films, Sony films. It's just kind of hard to be really impressive unless you tell a good story. I think story elevates that. But for whatever reason, we gin up the special effects and we just lower the story to the lowest basic common denominator where now you can figure out these films in like the first 3 minutes.
And I'm getting to that point where when they get to that third act and they go crazy with the special effects, I kind of zone out, man. My mind just shuts down. And it's just too much. And it's like, I don't care what's happening on the screen. Just get to the end and let me get out of here. It's like,
and I would say a travesty to this is why do you get such great actors? Like Mark Strong was wasted. He's a bad-ass villain. Like that guy, he plays menace and cold steel, cold ice water veins like nobody, right?
Right.
And you throw him in this and he's kind of wasted. So it's like if you're going to put in the talent, the acting prowess of people, let them use it. Like, but they're such in a hurry of we have to throw in the next joke because we don't want the kids to all of a sudden go down and start looking at their phones and start scrolling.
Yes, exactly.
So it's almost like it's put at a pace of ADHD and all this other stuff. And
Are we talking Airplane Humor, like a joke every 3 seconds?
yeah.
Oh no!
Except for Airplane was funny though.
What I'd compare it to Deadpool. It's very self-referential, right?
Yeah,
and
okay.
it's just constantly little batarang here and a Superman T-shirt there, and it's like something going on all the time. And going to the store and throwing a robber out the door, and it's just like, oh god, it's like too much. The guy next to me, sitting next to me, he had a great time because he was laughing and clapping through the whole thing, like out loud, like clapping so loud that I had to cover one of my ears.
Oh wow!
Because he was like, "Oh my god, this guy's like 30 years old. He's like an adult child."
He's just remembering the other Captain Marvel and going, "This is the real Captain Marvel. I'm happy here. I'm happy here."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what? And that's the thing. For real, because like I don't want you, hey viewers, I don't want you guys thinking that we hated Shazam. We're just talking more about the fact that this is why it's not memorable necessarily. Like we're used to seeing movies that when you walked out the theater, you're still talking about it years later. Like you see something like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you just talked about it a lot. You saw Star Wars, you talked about it. You saw Aliens, you talked about it. Gladiator, Close Encounters. Whatever.
Inception.
Yes, but nowadays it's just kind of like you'll see this stuff, you'll remember it for about a week or two until the next superhero guy comes out, and you'll all jump into that. You'll run down to Walmart and buy a T-shirt so you can act as if you've been a fan of it the whole time. But that's fun.
Buy the new latest pop figure.
The new vinyl pop figure.
God, I hate those things.
Yeah, but also remember that Avengers Endgame just broke the box office record for pre-sales.
Yeah, well, it should because that's actually based off of Infinity War.
Yeah,
that was another level in terms of at least the movie took itself seriously. And I think the problem with some of these superhero movies now is they think, oh, well, this is a comedy, but with people in spandex. Because when you watch them, that's what it feels like. Oh, there's somebody in spandex. That means here come a ton of jokes because we have to let the audience know, yes, we too think it's weird that people are wearing spandex. But we want you to take the threat serious while they're trying to stop it in that spandex. And it's kind of like, you don't have to be so meta. Just let us believe, like we did when we watched Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. Right. We just believed that a dude would throw on a suit and go punch bad guys. We believed it.
Made it real world.
Yeah, and it had humor in it, but it didn't need to be humorous every 5 seconds. Right. So I think unless you're a professional comedian, comedy is a thing where you have to have really good timing and it has to be relevant, and it can't just be my wit is the fact that I can think of something that's so meta that you're thinking about that I'm thinking about, therefore that makes it funny because you were thinking about it, I was thinking about it, yet we put it in a movie. It's like, okay, well, after we've seen that style enough, that's not going to be witty and funny anymore, right? It's like telling the same joke over and over again. Tiresome. Yeah. So now you need to see a different style of comedy come in. I want to see which superhero movie uses something different besides meta humor, because we're getting that served up crazy. But Shazam, again, I think it's a good time. You can still go and have a good time at the film. Just know that you got to turn that brain off and just go sit there and eat your juju beans and your popcorn and just throw it back and just laugh like the guy that sat next to you, I guess. God, yeah. And everybody else get
just
earplugs.
Don't let me sit next. I want to sit in the back next time.
That's right. So that is Shazam. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to spend the bulk of the time that's left on that MILF. Yes, MILF movies I'd like to fix. And, well, I thought we'd just stay right current with it because we have a lot of Stephen King fans out there that watch the show, a lot of horror fans. So I thought the movie we'd like to fix this week would be none other than Pet Sematary, the modern version, the 2019. So first, let's talk about, well, we talk about Pet Sematary, Carlos. Let's talk about the good first. So what did this movie achieve well?
The movie was very well made as far as the look of it, the acting, the music, the sound. I mean, I couldn't find any fault with it. Some kind of neat shots. I gotta say, Amy Semitic, I can't pronounce her last name. I was like, and speaking of Amy Semitic, she's an Upstream Color. It's a great film. I always liked her acting, and I'm surprised she took this role. Like I don't see her in a mainstream, especially a horror film. Not that horror films are anything wrong, but But I guess it was, a project, and maybe she could do something. And she did have some moments in the movie where, yeah, it was. You could see her anguish and thinking about her
Hug your
past
daughter
and saying,
scene.
yeah, so there was a lot of drama in the film that was very well played. They played it straight. It wasn't campy or anything, which I appreciated. Not that the original one was campy, but I think you mentioned the acting in the original one was kind of
horrible.
Yeah, you could tell that was a low budget film, but there was moments in that movie that were actually pretty iconic.
Everything is Fred Gwynn.
The Achilles heel scene. Oh my God.
Herman Munster.
Yeah, and they kind of played off of that in this one, but they just did something a little different with it, which is fine. They had to. I mean, they can't just recreate it, frame by frame, scene by scene. You kind of really why is this necessary? But they did they attempted, to do some different things with it. But I was kind of surprised from watching the trailer. I did expect something way different, but it wasn't really that much different. He just changed up a few things.
Yeah, that's true. Zach, what about you? Have you seen the film?
I have not seen the film, but I'm a little annoyed that they're switching up the plot. And I don't want to give too much of the spoilers, but this is already out there. The fact that they've changed the kid.
Oh, which one?
Yeah, which one? Yeah, they gave it away in the trailer.
That it's the 13-year-old and the 12-year-old that dies rather than the 4-year-old.
Yeah,
that's the book kills the 4-year-old.
Right.
And it just annoys me. It just annoyed me that they had to go that way. I understand that there are certain acting challenges, and they didn't want to repeat the same film. But man, come on.
Yeah.
That's kind of what amazed me about the original one, is how they got the little kid to do a lot of the things that he did in that film. It's like, wow, that's amazing.
It's super creepy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think when you do that, and I'll stick with the good, and we'll definitely use some of that for the bad. So I would say that the good for me was certainly that the suspense was there, the idea, some of the concepts in this film of what would be scary. So we know from the original, if you've seen the original Pet Sematary, we know that the mom in this one, Amy Semet's character, Rachel, is her name. Every time I hear Rachel, I keep thinking of Batman. Rachel, where's Rachel? Dark Knight. But Rachel, the horrible scene, the idea that she has a sister that when she was a kid that was suffering from a severe case and grotesque case of meningitis of the spine, how twisted up that her frame was and how her face looked. That was the most horrifying thing in the 1989.
And having to be left alone to take care of her.
Yes, and have to be left alone to take care of her. Like, that's a sentence itself. And then the way they did it this time around here, that concept of hearing the sound and not seeing it first was incredible. So I love that they stuck with some good suspense in places. So as I'm thinking about positive things, certainly the acting, the update on all the makeup and all the creature effects and all the supernatural, definitely I'd have to go with that as some of the best and most welcome things there. And I would say there was at least a couple story things that they changed to make it make more sense for today, and I was okay with some of that, how they went about some of that. So let's then jump into the cons. What was it in this movie that, I guess, Carlos, when you saw it, you were just like, oh, you eye rolled or you face palmed or something?
It wasn't so much that. It was just,
or you got
I
taken
was just
out.
kind of bored with it, just kind of like, Jason Clarke, man, this guy is one of the most bland, actors around. His face, he just keeps a straight face. He, like, this guy have another facial expression besides just seriousness,
Yeah.
So his like you mentioned before, there's really nothing interesting about him, no backstory, nothing that makes you root for him or feel bad when something bad happens to him. That's what I want in a movie, a character where you care about that character, and if something bad happens to that character, you feel it like it happened to a family member or something like that. It's like, I wouldn't go that extreme, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Where you're invested in that character. So Amy Smites, I was more invested in her, but him not so much. And and it always annoys me that character. I know it's a movie, but like, why does John Lithgow's character take the cat and bury it there when he knows what's going to happen to the fucking cat? Yeah, I thought it would be different this time. No, man.
Why?
Not
Based
gonna
off
be
of
different.
what evidence?
But you gotta have that to have
Suspension.
the movie, right? So you gotta have Church the cat come back and be weird and touch him, and he scratches you and he growls at you. Like, that was cool, but
yeah, I would say one of the cons for me was that, to your point, the lead character was extremely bland. So Jason Clarke plays Mr. Creed. I forget his name, but the family's name was Creed, right? So not to be mistaken with the movies written by Ryan Coogler, Creed, but
or Creed the band.
or Creed the band, right? But Jason Clarke, the problem here is that he's the lead character. But he's not interesting at all. His wife's interesting because she has the story of her older sister who had the problems and how that traumatized her. So that gave her some depth. And then the little girl, she was just a little girl, so she does what she's do. Babies just do what babies do, toddlers, I should say. And John Lithgow played his character to a T as to what you would expect from the crazy old guy who lives next door, who you're not quite sure, is he a pedophile or would he be okay to hang out with, and then he proves that he is okay, and so he's interesting in that way. But Jason Clarke's character, Mr. Creed, he's just a doctor who doesn't believe in the afterlife, which most doctors probably don't, since they do operating. They see people die on operating tables all the time. Okay, so what's interesting about him other than he's the do-good doctor?
He's the guy who just gets you from point A to point B to point C to point D and just on and on. He's just the role player, I guess. And every movie has one.
They do, but it's bad when it's the lead character.
Yeah, exactly. Well, most times, but at least in the lead character in a lot of movies, at least the lead character is interesting. He has some idiosyncrasies.
True.
He's a heavy drinker, or he believes in something off the wall, or nuts.
Yeah, like if they'd have just gave us, well, I'm almost getting into the fixes, but I'll save it. But so yeah, I would say that's a problem. And then I would say that second act, it seemed like all they kept doing was like, see this? This is what a pet cemetery looks like. See this? This is what the neighborhood kids have done. See this? This is a certain ground. And it was like there was so much exposition, I thought, that we already kind of knew. So I think that's why we got bored in the second half, the second act. We started to get bored because we're like, oh, if you've seen the movie, if you've read the book, then if you watch this, you already know why they didn't do a compelling enough way to tell us these things without making it all expositional. So the exposition just kind of got boring. So it's kind of like in Batman movies when they keep wanting to do a flashback to show you how he became Batman. We already all know that. So we don't need to see his parents being gunned down in an alley and pearls falling to the ground and his dad trying to be an honorable man. We get it. We get why he's Batman. So in this one, it's almost like that was the best you could do in terms of setting up what this is.
If you're going to do a remake, remake it and do something different with it. Still scene by scene, shot by shot.
Yeah, and I would say that you would have to.
It didn't work for Gus Van Sant. It didn't work here.
The dead always the notable exception out there. But to the point though, it's strange when you're looking at this because you're trying to say, okay, they did such a great job with it. Right? But here we have two directors who did this. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe these two directors couldn't agree. You had Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Weidmer. So you had two directors on this film, not just one. And so I don't know if that caused a problem with them in trying to pull things together. But certainly didn't translate. So I would say that was the case there on that. And I would say at the end of it all, what was the overall message here? I don't know that I got that. Did you get, was it dead cats are bad? I mean, what did you?
Sometimes things are better left dead. That's basically
sometimes things are better left dead.
Just leave it.
So we spend the whole movie bringing things back to life so we could prove that it was better that they were dead.
Yes.
In other words, stop the reboots, please, for God's sakes. Put this one in the grave.
Yes, let dead be dead.
We need a Gremlins remake. Sometimes
these directors, they made a movie called Starry Eyes. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. And that's
Starry
probably
Eyes?
why they got this. Because Starry Eyes is a horror film, and it's low budget, it's indie film, but it's very well made. So that's probably kind of why they got these guys. They thought they would probably give that kind of atmosphere to it. But that's the problem with you get guys that have done independent films, and then all of a sudden you're giving them these big budget, over the top films, but it's not really their vision because once they finish the film, it goes to the studio and they start fucking around with it, re-editing it or say you got to take this out. That's not going to work. Marketing, it's not going to play in the Midwest. So. then you don't get the director's vision.
Yeah, it's his proverbial shoes, right? So you got indie shoes, which might be the normal size, and then there's big budget shoes. And so the moment they put their feet in big budget shoes, they feel lost because it's so
Some
big.
directors can pull it off, but some...
Yeah, some can, and that's because they have better visions, I think. The guys who have really big visions to begin with and are only doing indie films because this is their way to get in, so they have to shrink small. But there's some of these guys who just think small, and then they're rewarded because they're great in a small space, but when you put them in a larger space, when they're no longer the big fish in the small pond, now they're in the ocean and they feel like a real small fish, and they don't know how to make certain decisions, because you got to make different decisions when you're making films with bigger budgets, and you're going to get more interference with big budgets. So if you don't know how to run the interference, block it, put your buffers up to keep you from getting and kind of isolate yourself from them, it's going to show up in the film, I think. And I think here there's also a lazy idea that, well, since this was popular before and people love Stephen King, just throw anything out there, they'll buy it, they'll see it. And even if they don't like it,
it's a property,
Yeah, it's a property. It's
everybody recognizes
the nostalgia. We'll get them with the nostalgia. Who
At
cares?
least they
used
the song at the end. I don't want to be buried. You know, the
Yeah.
Ramones song.
Yeah,
they
the Ramones.
they redid it, but
Yes.
with a female singer this time, of course. So,
Yeah, we would see that happening.
typical.
So let's talk about how we might have made some edits if we were in the room before they released this film, before we did the theatrical cut. Let's say you and I are the guys who are in the room that they're telling us, edit this down, make this awesome. Any kind of edits you might make or changes?
Or change I would make, just recast Jason. At least put in a more interesting actor to look at, man. Because this guy is just vanilla, man.
Yeah,
Completely
yeah.
vanilla.
And it would just be like, Jason, let us describe the scene. Your daughter just died, dude. Can you show us death? And don't go, no. But think of something outside of that that you would do because your daughter died, dude, and your wife is going hysterical over it. She already has issues. Can we see some sort of emotionality? Remember in Tropic Thunder? The emotionality. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, now we can't cry. All right, I'm off screen. You know, everyone right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I'm thinking that. Where's the emotionality here? So I think that's a huge problem. One of my fixes would be instead of just showing the kids in the daytime with mask on doing the Pet Sematary thing, why wouldn't you do that at night? That would be scarier. And then I think it would be neater if those kids were actually people who also had come back from the dead.
That's what I was getting from the trailer. I thought that was going to be something different that they would throw in. That these kids with the masks are really the ones who are kind of doing some cult shit out there and bringing these pets back or something. But just regular neighborhood kids with masks.
Because I think if you layer the multiple attackers, that's better than saying, oh, this is here's the antagonist. Here it is. It's a little girl with the scalpel. So we got to be afraid that she's going to take everybody out. It's just kind of hard to believe it because you didn't tell us what happens to things. You just said that when they come back, they don't come back normal. They come back agitated and messed up, but that doesn't tell me that they're going to be super strong or any of this other stuff. So it was hard for me to wrap around my head that this 12 or 13-year-old is going to be able to take out her dad and John Lithgow, you know, who's a hardy guy. You can tell he's an outdoorsman because he's got hunting things up on the wall. He's got deer heads and stuff. So he's an outdoorsman. He's rugged. So you're going to have to really work hard to make me think a 12-year-old with a scalpel is going to, you know. So I guess with the fixes with that, then I think if we had multiple attackers, it was some other folks. Because like, what are they doing? Like, once they've been brought back from the dead and they can't die again unless you
bring
kill
some
them again.
Cujo type animals.
Yeah. What are they doing now? Now that they've killed the person that they're linked to, do they just die? Do they walk around? Are they tethered like in Us? I mean, what's the deal? So I think I would clear up some of that ambiguity between these people, or else why show them in a scene if they're not going to come back and play an import? And I would say the ending, I don't know, and I can't, you know, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, then you might want to turn this part of it down. But at the end, they don't kill the girl gets killed, but the young son, Gage, is still alive, and they just decide to leave Gage sitting in a car with the family coming back at him, but they're all have been.
It's almost like the Mist ending, you know?
Yeah, and it's almost like we just want you to fill in the story because we don't have a better story, so we'll just leave it like this and let you think what happened.
Leave it to your imagination.
But I don't know that that's gratifying when your lead character wasn't enough for you to get excited. So I think those would be the missteps. I think those are some of the few changes that you could probably make and get a better ending in this situation and make it more believable. So, well, hey, that was MILF, Movies I'd Like to Fix. We are out next week. The next time you will see us, it'll be April 28th. That will be the Avengers Endgame weekend. So we'll be talking a lot about that and anything that happens in between then. So for now, Carlos.
Make a whole show out of it.
Yeah, for now, yeah, we probably might need to make a whole show out of it. We probably could. So, Carlos, how can they find you out there in the social media atmosphere?
At Film Samurai on Twitter and Facebook.
That's right, and you can find me, the Vegabomber. I'm out there on the YouTube channel Vegabomber. Please go subscribe and like. Leave a comment because we can give you a shout
out to Mad Mel, who left a very nice little
absolutely
nice
shout
feedback.
out to you, Mad Mel. Thanks for watching, and Stephanie Crane, who watches it live on Facebook. So shout out to you. Thank you for supporting, and we will have some prizes and some things coming up for those who have been with us since the beginning. So that's awesome. But you can find me also on Facebook, Instagram, and also Twitter, and of course subscribe to Vegabomber TV, and you can get some fill-in episodes in between these episodes. And Zach, tell them who you are.
I am the Talk Lord of the Sith here on DallasOnAir.com. You can catch me on the Vortex of Doom coming up right after the show, and you can also catch me on the Rancor Pit Figments, the Unexplained Mysteries podcast, and I Live Toys on Talk Nerdy to Me Sundays here on DallasOnAir.com.
So I will just leave you like this. Go ahead, get your tickets, get your popcorn, go see a movie, and when you have done that, then get back with the Film Fulfillment crew, and we'll sit down and we'll talk movies with you. That's our time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see ya.
Out. Sayonara.
Out. The theme. Kick it.
This is DallasOnAir.com.